And here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the first episode of Contender Talk. I'm joined here with Day and Bolt. Do you guys want to go ahead and say something?
What's up, guys?
Hello, how's it going?
This is a podcast for anything and everything towards the North America Contender League. Pumped for episode 1. We got some great stars coming on. We have Venom Catch from Team Notoriety and Sauku from, I believe he's on Amarok.
He's Amarok.
So basically what this podcast is going to be doing today is we're just going to be talking a little bit about kind of everything North America Contender League. We're going to go deep dive into the season for both conferences. We're going to talk about Rainbow Six. We have our interviews. We have some segments that we're going to go ahead and do. First up, we got patch notes.
Yeah, so new patch came out, well, I think it was 2 days ago now. We introduced match cancellation, which is a new feature that allows you to kind of remake your game if you load in 4v5. And we've all had that happen before, I'm sure. So it should be a good feature. I have seen some people probably testing it. I was watching some streams the other day, and it was impossible to find a game because someone would leave and then they would cancel the match. So hopefully there's a way to counteract that. I imagine what it'll be is the person that leaves ends up with an abandoned sanction and probably a loss of MMR. However, everybody else on the team, they don't get a sanction and they don't lose MMR. It's just as if the match never happened.
Now, is there like a time limit on that, or is it just as soon as you get in, it's 4v5, someone quits, you can remake?
So it's when the round starts, like right after prep phase.
Oh,
You're
okay.
able to, you'll get like a notification that's like, well, you noticed you're 4v5. Do you want to restart the game or find a different game, I suppose?
So what happens when someone gets disconnected due to internet issues is in the middle of reconnecting and the team elects to remake the lobby and now that person has a 30-minute ban and loses MMR?
Yeah, so I mean, it takes place after uh, an operator would be selected. So if they're loading in late because they DC'd prior to that, they wouldn't be able to play the first round anyways. And I can see how this would grief some players if, maybe they just DC'd for a quick second and they are trying to relaunch.
Yeah, I
And by
can't.
the time they try to reconnect, the match is already gone.
How many salty silvers are going to be out there? Their internet goes out, something happens, their PC turns off, they go to restart their game, they log on, they lost MMR, now they're in bronze.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening.
Speaking on ranked, what is up with this season? Why are all our plat players, all our diamond players now in silver and gold?
I have no idea.
Is it the new operators coming out? Is it just the way that Rainbow's setting you up, or is it just the luck of the draw? Where now that curve that used to be majority of players wore silver and gold, now going down to maybe a bronze and I was about to say iron, but it's copper and rainbow.
Yep. So Malusi is in a really strong place right now. She did receive a nerf. They lowered the penalty zone of her gadget by about 33%, which is good because on release, she could cover like entire rooms. And I believe she has 3 of her banshees, and that's a lot of utility. They also reduced the max range penalty radius from 6 meters to 4 meters. They reduced the critical range penalty radius from 3 meters to 2 meters. And they lowered the sound of the Banshee effect in the first person POV. So that's good because when you walk into a room, it was just this loud, pulsating, buzzing noise if there was a Banshee in there. And that's not only slowing you, but now you're not able to hear if there's somebody nearby, and that puts you at a huge disadvantage. So I'm glad that they lowered the sound on that.
So I haven't had an opportunity to go in and test these operators out. It sounds like Malusi though is the operator to take instead of Ace. I don't know. I don't know if Ace is getting played a lot in ranked, maybe more in casual. What's the difference between maybe Ace or Habana and Thermite? Like which one is more useful in what situation?
I don't know. That's kind of a tough call. I feel like it comes down to preference. Ace is a very useful hard breacher. His gadget has a bit of a delay. Um, it opens up kind of like a Habana hole with the first charge, but then it folds down kind of like what a thermite would do in sense of how big of a hole it can make. So he's super useful, and he has the AK-12, which is one of the best guns in the game. I really don't see a reason not to bring him. Ace and Habana did actually get a nerf in this patch as well. The explosion damage of their gadgets can no longer pass through reinforced walls, and they destroy fragile gadget and to prevent destroying fragile gadgets on the other side.
Okay. We'll go ahead and we'll switch over to the our updated rules. So I went ahead and placed all of our updates on the screen for everyone to see. Nothing interesting so much for version 1 to or 1.1 to 1.3, just the replacement of border and Oregon. However, we get down to 1.4. That was our band cosmetics, and we updated the Malusi and the Ace band. The banned cosmetics one was teams suffered a lot early this season. We banned everything except for the whitelisted, just like Pro League did. Yet we still saw some players using some of those banned cosmetics.
Yeah, and at this point, we're going into play day 4, and I feel like the team should know, stop bringing elite skins. Stop bringing skins that aren't part of, the Pro League gold sets or default skins. Just bring those.
Yeah, I don't want to see a Blackbeard with a top hat on or Montaigne wearing a unicorn skin. As much fun as I would like, the Mozzie pizza skin on Villa is completely overpowered, and then any MRI skin on any map.
Yeah, and I mean, not only those, but I mean, Wind Bastion is also another one.
Isn't
There's
Blood
so many
Orchard?
skins that just put the player at an advantage, and it's not something that we want to have in a competitive setting. We want it to be as skill based as possible and not whether or not you have a certain skin.
And then we fast forward, I think it was only a day or two, and we decided to allow Iona and Oryx. However, we haven't seen them played yet.
No, we have seen Iona played, and we have seen Oryx played.
Oh, really? I must just
Yeah,
miss
we've
this.
seen them played once, I
Oh, okay.
believe.
Okay.
I'm not sure which team it was that brought it out, but I believe we saw Oryx on maybe it was Cafe or Consulate. I think it was Consulate. We saw both Oryx and Iona played.
Yeah, a lot of new. I guess teams might not have strategies implemented for these two operators. Hopefully, we see some in the future, and hopefully, we see Oregon because we're yet to see Oregon. I mean, Border got replaced with Oregon, and it seems like Oregon is banned either first or second every time we do map bans.
Yeah, I'm dying to see an Oregon match. I've yet to see it played in our league, and I feel like it has a lot of potential. Everything that we see from a competitive standpoint will be new to us as, observers, casters, viewers, and it'll just be a good, entertaining experience just to see how people are going to play this site or play this map.
And then we head down to version 1.6. We see protesting a match. If a rule is broken, our NACL staff will now have the ability to stop the match and force a rehost, which could result in a team forfeiting the match. So we ran into this issue on Cafe where it was Raid versus Molecular. Raid broke one with their skins, and then they had a spawn peak infraction, so that would have been 2 rehosts right there, and you're only allowed 1. A third infraction would have been implemented, and we actually saw Raid end up forfeiting that match. They tied against Molecular, but we went back, watched the footage, and had the rule in favor of Team Molecular there, as well as yesterday we had a very interesting subject for our third game, where Raid Esports was in a ranked game. And we'll go more into depth about that later as we get into the conferences. But we'll go ahead and now switch to our new map ban rules. Some teams still confused on why there's only 5 maps up on the map ban. There's usually 5 or 6. That's due to whatever map you played the previous playday. So it only goes one playday. So if you play something on playday 3, you're not going to be playing it on playday 4. The team that plays Clubhouse won't play Clubhouse and play day 4. And then the other team, if they played Consulate, both Clubhouse and Consulate will be banned. All we're trying to do is get a more variety of maps into the pool and hopefully see an Oregon game.
And hopefully see an Oregon game.
Yes, an Oregon game would be dope.
So we are now 4 play days, and hopefully you guys understand that's the answer why. As well as map bans are sent out as soon as your captain gets into the lobby. Usually 5 minutes before the game, we'll go ahead and get the captains into the lobby, allow for map bans so we can get our casters set up and get the map ban streamed. So you don't need to ask 30, 45, an hour even before your game if you can have map bans, because you're not going to get them. So now we'll segue into our next segment here. We're going to start with the Western Conference. We'll go ahead and look at their schedule. Playday 1, we saw Rated Gaming and Disrupt Gaming have one of the games of the season. I believe it was a 7-5 victory going in for Rated on Clubhouse.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then we saw Team Wary. I believe I don't think that one was close at all, as Humble Frager's rivals dominated that game. And then Team Notoriety went up against Humble Frager's Reapers. Now, speaking on the side of Reapers, their IGL Ben has been showing up each and every game, putting up big numbers, but the rest of his team hasn't been there for me.
Yeah, they're definitely struggling in terms of just, I guess, teamwork. It seems like maybe there's a lot of miscommunication. Their executions are kind of sloppy if they get to the executions. They're losing to a lot of early picks, is what it seems like.
Yeah, I had written down for one of their play days here. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay, it was their play day on Cafe versus Reapers. So they went ahead and they banned the Thatcher and the Mira. They actually did rather well on this map against Wary. However, Wary got the W at the end. Oh no, they played on Villa. Okay. It was a close game. I believe Wary won 7-4. Reapers showed up, but again, if they're not defending first, their attack struggles. I think Ben went off, like absolutely went off. I think he had 9+ kills that game. Meanwhile, the rest of his team struggled to have 3 or 4. On the side of Wary, each person was pulling their weight evenly. So if your rivals, at what point do you pull Ben up to your starting team and find a new IGL for Reapers to look for a playoff run?
It's hard. That's a hard decision to make, because you have, like, you're in the middle of a season. You have
Mhm.
You have two teams in this season. To find to pull someone like that up, and to have to then look for an IGL, like, that would be so much, because even if you just pulled him up and he was an IGL and you put somebody in there, like, team chemistry in a game like this is huge. And then you're talking about your IGL. Like, I feel like the biggest thing that would hold a team back from doing something like that would be to find someone that would mesh, because we were all on the same team. We had 4 solid people that we felt we could run with, but finding that 5th person to mesh was our downfall. Like, it was hard. And to have a team to have 5 guys that are meshing well, it's hard to warrant because they may pull him up and he may not be as good. Like the reason, like a lot of times people don't understand the reason why one person may be doing good is because of the 4 people around him. So
Mhm.
it's just
And
it's just
especially go ahead.
it's just a hard call, I think, being in the middle of a season and all.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when they're playing a position like the IGL.
Yes.
Like, you can't I don't think it's something that we'll see happen just because you can't really pull an IGL from one team, put him on a team to replace another IGL, and then expect them to perform as well as they have been.
Well, Ben
'Cause
is their entry fragger, and
okay.
he has been dominating on that side. He's been getting most of it. If they do get an opening kill for that round, and choosing on the side of Ben. So as we look at the standings here, we see that rivals are sitting mid-table, even on round count. If they're going to be looking to make a playoff run here, maybe they need that entry fragger and that skill and that mechanical skill in Ben to kind of put them over the hump there to get past rated. Because Team Wary is right there with them. Almost,
Mhm.
I think Team Wary is actually identical in score almost.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just him playing entry. I think they definitely could. Like it's not about whether they could or not. I think it's whether they should. I think that has to be a decision made like within the organization to figure out if it's possible and if it's worth it. I think that it is possible that if they got that extra fragging potential, that they could surpass, even rated, maybe even team notoriety, and who knows? I mean, maybe that one player may be the difference to put them in the running for first if they could catch up. But I think that, like I said, the hard part is they may have even had this conversation with them. I think the hard part is just is it the right decision? Not is it going to work or is it going to be potentially the best decision, but is it the right decision? Because you do have two teams from one organization in here, and you have to think about both teams in order to make all 10 people of that org happy.
Okay.
So,
And I kind of want to rewind a little bit just to talk about Team Wary. Um, they had a slow start to the season. Uh, first game they lost, and then the second game they tied, and then the third game they won. We're seeing steady improvement from them, and it really it's showing in their scoreline. And I think they might be a team that if they keep grinding the way they are, they could potentially come in the top 3 and maybe even make a playoff run.
So, speaking of teams, playoffs, teams to look out for, we'll start with Jake. Who do you got?
well, you have to say DG. Like you have to DG, the top three notoriety rated gaming. Like what was it? Was it our last DG and rated gaming game where
That was
DG
team.
rated gaming was up 5-1? Was that right?
No, the last game they played, that was Team Notoriety,
Yep.
and Disrupt Gaming was up 5-1.
Yeah. That's the one I'm talking about. I mean, you have to look at those three teams and know that those three teams are very similar as far as like how well they play. So like it's really hard. Like we were just talking about HF rivals making a run up there. Like those top three teams there, those are some tough teams, like tough competition. But I do have to feel like that even though those top three teams are as tough as they are, DG being able to rise above it all and get those 2 wins is I have to feel like that's the team to look out for is seeing them progress and continue to do well
Day, who do
just
you got?
because of their track record.
For me, I've got DG, Team Notoriety, and I'm gonna go with the underdog Team Wary as well as just the top 3 teams come towards the end of the season.
Okay, I see you. I am going to go with a team that none of you have said yet, the only undefeated team in the league still, sitting at third place. I think Rated Gaming is my sleeper team, even though they are undefeated. I think that oftentimes they get to that fifth and sixth rounds and it kind of goes either way. But they have a dominant performance beforehand. They came back 5-1 when they were playing.
Mhm.
Who did they just tie? Was that Rivals? I believe they just played Rivals and they were down 5-1 on Consulate and came back to take a 6-5 lead. And then Rivals came back to win the final round.
Yeah,
I,
that shows a lot of poise.
Yeah, I think Rated really needs to focus on closing games out. The first game, I believe they got a W, but on their second game, I think they let it slip right between their hands. If they just keep the grind going, focus on closing the games out, I think they're a first place team at the end of the season.
Interesting take.
Yep, interesting it is.
Now, moving into players, I did a little bit of research on this. I gave Day a heads up on this, but Bolt, I didn't give you the rosters to go ahead and pick out your player. I don't know if you have any in mind. I'll start with Day and then let you kind of think about it, and then we'll end up on me.
Let's go ahead and start with you.
Okay. That means Day forgot to do a little bit of research on his ends. Anyway, I picked Rated Gaming as my team to look out for, but my player to look out for is on Disrupt Gaming, and it's a new addition to. I think she's only played 2 games with Disrupt so far. That's gonna be Yazers. We saw her on the Jaeger on Villa with her roaming ability, her fragging ability, and her all-around team comprehension with all the rest of DG. I think she's a great addition to the team, and I think she's only going up from here. Her and the rest of the girls on DG, if they continue what they're doing, they're going to be one tough team to beat, especially when we get down to playoffs.
Yeah. Definitely a great pickup by DG. And for that Villa game, she actually top fragged for her team. I think she finished 12 and something. And she just absolutely dominated on the roam. It was really impressive, especially being new to the roster and only really being on the team for about a week.
I hope that gave you guys enough time to find your players to look out
Oh
for.
yeah, I already have
I actually
mine.
did have one. I just had to double check.
Okay.
So we're good. Um, and for me, my player to watch out for is going to be Zephyr of Team Notoriety.
That's exactly who I was gonna say. Exactly who I was gonna say.
um, he absolutely just he clutches up for his team.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's like his biggest attribute is especially watching him on his Villa game. He popped off, like absolutely destroying. I don't believe they won that game. I think that was their loss. I'm not 100% on that, but he played really well. Absolutely carrying the team on his back.
Okay, so we can go ahead and segment because we're wrapping up the Western Conference here. If one of you two could look into Discord, see if Venom is down there from Team
Yep.
Notoriety. Okay, if one of you could go down there, see if he's ready, then go ahead and pull him up. Give him a little
Yeah,
bit
I
of an
got him.
introduction. Okay. Meanwhile, while he's doing that, Jake,
Mm-hmm.
how are you liking observing? I knew you were brand new to observing. Starting to get the hang of it. I know the first couple games are rough, but how are you feeling
Yeah.
now?
I feel a lot better. Excuse me. I think that the biggest part of it is I just kind of have to put myself in the position of like what I want to see. And like I know like one thing I try to harp on, and I hope it's not annoying. It's just something that I know that I like is I pay attention a lot to like when Pro League play like they have a Valkyrie. Like the
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I've noticed is like they'll always swap away and you can't see the Valkyrie cam placements. And that's something me as a old Valkyrie main that I wanted to see. So I try to put myself in a position of like, what is it that I want to see if I'm watching this? What am I trying to learn? What am I trying to gather? So that's kind of the position that I put myself in, at least in prep phase, because I think that unlike most games, Rainbow Six's prep phase is um most different and most important part of Rainbow Six, and it differs from so many other games. is that it has a preparation phase to where you can set up and do things. And I try really hard to kind of put myself in a position of the viewer and see what I want to see. And if I see something new, I try to, point it out to you guys and get you guys to comment on it. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Definitely not the best, but I definitely think that I've gotten a lot better since the start.
Yeah, and it's only up from here.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Venom just now joining us. How's it going, bud?
Pretty good. How about you?
Not too bad. So, IGL for team notoriety. That's correct.
I'm not our IGL. That's
Oh,
Zephyr. I am the
Just captain. Okay, captain
Yeah.
for team notoriety. You guys are sitting at 2-1 with no draws. You have 18 rounds won and 14 lost, sitting at top of the table, just behind Disrupt Gaming based on round differential. So, first question to you: what's it like being a captain on a competitive esports team?
It's pretty complicated. I have to organize everything, lay out practice times, basically get everyone prepared for everything at one game at a time, but also every other game moving forward. Some days I'm not able to be on. We have someone step in and help me out with that kind of stuff. So he's pretty good with helping me with that. We also have some guys that aren't able to make some of the practices because of their work schedule, which is difficult to plan around, but I take them all through what we did later on once they get on.
So you guys are obviously putting a lot of time into Rainbow Six training. How much time would you say you guys spend scrimming? And do you only scrim, or do you guys also play ranked, casual together? How's that look?
Oh, and don't forget dry runs.
Yes, we do a lot of dry runs with our strats, attacking and defense. We mostly just do scrims. We usually just go into every Discord and just put out a thing that we want to do a scrim. It doesn't really matter who.
And how many times a week for how many hours do you think you guys are putting into these scrims and dry runs?
I don't know. I'd say we like to do it at least 3 days a week, and then the other days we like to dry run. But we try to get as many scrims in as possible.
So have you found any time for ranked?
Yes, we usually right after practice, after we do scrims, dry runs, some people have to get off. They have work in the morning, but with whoever's left on, we usually love to play ranked and get ranked up as high as possible.
No. Yeah, exactly, Dave. You know exactly what I was segmenting that one into.
So, how do you feel about like the state of ranked right now and with the new operators?
Who are the new operators? I'm blanking right now.
Ace and
Ace and
Malusi.
Malusi.
Ace and Malusi, okay. I think Malusi's very overpowered right now. She definitely needs a little bit of a nerf. But the state of ranked, I think it's not good, but it's the best it's ever been. Like I didn't join in Siege until Operation Health, but from there, I mean, wow, everything's so much different. It's a lot better.
We got a hot take coming in here. Everyone else on Twitter will disagree with you that this is the worst season of ranked based on them going down to gold. Meanwhile, Venom's in here saying that he's happy. This is the best ranked season he's had so far.
Okay, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's the best ranked season I've had personally, but I mean, I'm enjoying it.
So, for you and the rest of Team Notoriety, how's the Western Conference going so far for you?
It's going really well so far. Like you said, we're currently 2-1. We're going into our fourth game tonight. First 2 games went great. We've been very consistent, other than our game versus Disrupt on Tuesday, which they're a pretty good team. We played them twice in the qualifiers, once in a scrim. I mean, it's going great so far.
So we played them on Villa previous to that game?
No, we haven't. We played them twice on Theme Park, once on Border when it was still in the map pool, and then I think then it was Villa.
So is Villa a map that you guys like, or?
Yeah, I mean we love Villa. They had first ban, so they had defense first, which really isn't an excuse for us. But we had a few errors on attack that sort of cost us a few rounds, and then we almost pulled it back on defense, brought it to 4-7 rather than 1-5.
Yeah, we have a little insight. Jahui is one of our moderators and also a sub for DG, and she said that the DG girls actually absolutely hate Villa.
Really?
Yeah, she said that's one of their least favorite maps, but somehow you guys ended up on it.
Yeah, we love Villa.
Villa's a great map.
I think that was one of our first maps that we made strats on. I know it was before we had this team, I hated Villa with a passion. Yeah, I thought it was very, very compact, but also it was a big map, but there was too many close quarters. But after we got a bunch of strats going on it, I love it now.
Final question I have for you: where do you see Team Notoriety finishing the season? Do you guys see yourself making the playoffs? Of course. Do you find yourself being the championship team?
I'm trying to stay as humble as possible, but I do see us going pretty far into the playoffs. Definitely championship. I think depending on where seeding takes place, I think if we don't play Disrupt first round, I think we can definitely beat them in the championship.
Makes sense.
But we prepare for every game. So if we keep on the path that we have been, learning from our mistakes, and then I think our biggest issue has been communication. But if we can get that fixed out, I can definitely see us finishing first in the league and then making it.
So that's all I have. Day, Bolt, do you guys have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, just real quick. So DG, obviously a strong competitor in this conference. Are there any other teams that are here that you're like, hey, this is probably going to be a close game when we play them?
If I had to pick any other ones, I would definitely say it would be Rated. Which, we play them tonight. I've been watching some of their videos. They're pretty good. They have a couple good guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty nice.
Cool. That's all I've got as well. Bolt, did you have anything?
Who did you say your IGO was?
That would be Zephyr. He takes over once we're in game. He finds out like if we're doing anything wrong, he'll come in and tell us what we're doing.
Yeah, I've
Basically.
known Zephyr for a long time. Like I've known him since he's new to comp. So
Mm-hmm.
I've known him since before he started playing comp. Just because I know him, what's it like playing with Zephyr? Because I remember playing some ranked games with him, and he can get kind of aggressive, and I don't like I said, he's a great player, and I'm just kind of wondering what's it like playing with him now because I haven't played Siege with him in a really long time, but it seems like he's grown a lot since
Yeah,
the last time I played with him.
he's he does get a little bit aggressive sometimes, but it's not a bad thing because
Mhm.
I know there was one point where I think we were up 4-0. I think it was against Reapers, and we started messing around a little bit, and he kept us in line there. So that's when he started getting aggressive then. So I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Because we almost threw around because we didn't really care. We were up 4-0, so he kept us in line that game, and we ended up finishing up 7-0.
Got you. Well, that's all I had. I just wanted to know, just because, like I said, I know the
Yeah,
guy. So.
yeah, he's a real nice guy.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is Venom, captain for Team Notoriety. Thanks for coming on the first episode.
All right, thanks for having me.
So we'll go ahead and go back down. Dave, you want to go ahead and do that? Go see if Salku's ready for his interview. Before we get started on the Eastern Conference, we'll go ahead and just get him in here.
Yeah, no problem.
So, Team Notoriety does not want to face Disrupt Gaming first round of the playoffs. Not surprised.
Nope, not surprised at all.
All right, I'll get Salco in here now.
Okay. Welcome to Contender Talk. We're sitting here with a member from Amarok Esports. I really hope I get it right because we suck at pronouncing it. Sauku.
Nope.
Ooh, it's
Soku.
You got it.
Soku.
Ko. So you got the first part right, but then the ending part is ko, like
Sauko.
like the abbreviation of company. There,
Yeah,
there you go.
Sauko.
That's it.
Okay, there we go. Well, now
We're there. That's like 2 out of 3 people now. So
We are-
we're
That's right. I
almost
feel
there.
like Ghost will still probably, while casting, call you Saku.
well, hey,
It's almost like a meme now.
we have it on YouTube. It's good to be. Everyone should hear it now. Sauko.
Perfect.
Don't get it wrong. If you do, you're fired. Anyway, you were a player manager for Emergence. How are you adjusting to your new role, and what is your new role now at Amarok?
Right. So originally with Emergence, I had started like a Rainbow Six team with a couple of my friends. We sort of came up with just an idea to get like a group of our friends together and play like that. And originally we did AGN quals as that team, and we got picked up by Emergence, which was just like a parent organization for us. And we moved on from there, and eventually things sort of worked out where I ended up leaving Emergence and joining Amarok. But with my new role at Amarok, it's a little bit less of like management and just a little bit more of in-game, responsibility, which is more of what I wanted because uh, originally at Emergence, I was trying to do everything. I was trying to be like the team captain. I was trying to be the manager for the actual team itself and finding new players and doing recruiting and stuff like that, which was just way too much on my plate. So now at Amarok, being just strictly an IGL and a player, that's really huge. So the way it works for us is that like I'm primary IGLing and then Neo is like secondary IGL. So if there's like a shot or an adaptation that's being called, it's most likely one of us, unless like Peekers or Slinky or one of the other guys like sees something that they notice in their particular round. That's like, oh, you know what, we can do this. Then they might call something on the fly, but the majority of the time it's Neo and I that are setting up a strat or doing an adaptation in a round. So
Okay, so you guys are kind of running a dual IGL system over there, almost where you'd be a primary and then Neo's more of a secondary role, which is what you see a lot more now in competitive Rainbow. That sometimes you can have 2, 3, even 4 IGLs on a team at a certain time, and it kind of just based on how fluid your team is in comms, it could work out great for you or it could not.
yeah, I think we have a pretty good system down, honestly, because Neo is more of the hard breach role now on the team, and I'm more of like the flank watch and hard support player in terms of like Thatcher and Maverick and stuff like that, or maybe Nomad. So that gives me a little bit more leeway to sort of think about the round, and then he has more responsibility in terms of like what he's doing for his hard breach. So like if it's trying to get a wall open, he's the one that's really leading that. And then the remainder of the time, it's pretty much me unless I'm like dead and I'm on cameras or something like that. Then he takes over the round.
So I didn't find too much information on Emergence. However, Amarok's one of those esports organizations that's on the brink of making it to the next level. So how do you like playing for what I would call a little bit of a bigger organization?
It's been really good so far, because with Emergence, like they were fantastic people, and they were, really interested in setting things up. But Amarok is just there's a lot more of a support system built up already. They're really active in trying to like help out the team and things like that, which is huge. They know a lot about Rainbow Six, which is fantastic, because that was their original game was Rainbow Six when they first started the org as well. Like I looked into the history a little bit more, and they started as primarily a Rainbow Six organization, so they have a lot of experience with it, which makes it easier for the players. We just have to focus more on gameplay, and we don't really have to worry about a whole lot of the nitnoid details, which is really nice because coming from a place where I was responsible for all that at the same time, but now I can actually focus on my gameplay. And my teammates would say that I need to work on my like aim sometimes, but that gives me the time to be able to do that, which is good. So
Yeah, one thing I can say about Amarok is they are by far one of the loudest organizations on social media.
oh god,
They
yeah.
light up the timeline. They come out to all of your guys' games and support you. I think it's really awesome to see from an organization to have, just that kind of support, especially as a player, and also just the recognition as well that they help provide.
Yeah, it's definitely been really nice, especially after all of our games. We have two Amarok chats. We have the Amarok R6 Discord, and then we have like the HQ Discord, and there's always a group of like 5 to 10 people just watching the streams after our game. So every single time we've almost made sort of a tradition out of it after a win. We all just flood into that chat, and it's like a little victory celebration almost. So it's been pretty cool to have that sort of support there to be able to do that. So.
So you guys had a lot of support. You're winning games. Can you talk a little bit on your success in NACL? What's going right for you guys? How are you guys going to keep that going?
Yeah, our success has been fantastic. We were really happy with our results so far. I mean, even the round differential too. If we look at that, I mean, it's been going really well for us. Everything. So I feel like it's just a really good combination of like our players. They all fit into their roles really well. We finally found like a good balance. And I know I'm a fairly new addition to the team with only about like 4 weeks on it now, or 3 weeks on it. I can't remember the exact date that I joined, but we're already starting to mesh really well. And I mean, even in scrims too, we do just a really good job of communicating, and we work out the kinks and stuff like that. So we're starting to get a really strong momentum behind us almost, and we want to carry that momentum through and basically just keep our wits about us, not get too cocky. And I know that in game I've done that a couple times where we start getting like really hyped up, especially when we had the dominant lead against last night Suede. When we had that dominant lead against Suede, we were starting to get really pumped up, but we took a second and I was like, guys, let's chill out a little bit, let's focus. It's still 0-0, and then let's push from there. So I think that's going to be our biggest thing is once we really get down to business and keep centered, then we can really push forward. And I think we've seen that all 3 games so far.
So it was interesting that you and Emergence were set to play in the Western Conference, but now you joined Amarok. You're playing in the Eastern Conference, which is a little bit, I would say, higher skill gap there. Are you feeling adjusting to that higher skill gap?
I feel pretty good about it, honestly. With originally being slated to play in Western Conference, I was still excited to be able to play in that, and I felt like it would have been a good warm up for like Emergence in the way that we were playing at the time. I think it would have been a great division for us, but at the same time, joining Eastern now, I feel like with the team that I have and somewhat what I'm able to like provide to, we're able to really perform strongly from here on out too in Eastern Conference. I'm enjoying the level of competition. It's making me push harder to try and get better at the game, which has been fantastic because I know that's something that I've been looking forward to for a while, is just learning some things. So I'm taking a look at a lot of like VODs from other teams, our team, scrims, things like that, and I'm taking those into account, and I'm thinking of different like ways I can play things, personal improvements, and then also just like team improvements and strats and like that. So it's been great.
Final question from me, and then I'll throw it over to Day and Bolt. What are some of your goals as a team and you as an individual progressing later into the season?
Yeah, I'll start with more individual stuff. Individually, I just want to, like I've been saying a little bit, just get my aim just a little bit better, because I feel like there's just been a couple moments where like I lose out on gunfights that I should be winning. So once we get to that point, I feel like that'll be really strong. So I'm going to try and elevate that. But for team wise, right now, obviously we're in top spot for the Eastern Conference. So that's definitely a goal, is to stay in that number 1 spot. But I think a big goal for us too is to stay undefeated. Honestly, that would be a fantastic first season for us in NACL. I think if we can stay undefeated, that would be really strong. But that's going to be a secondary goal. Obviously, we're going to try and just remain in the top spot and try and carry that through however we can. But if we can stay undefeated, I think that would be our, a really strong introduction into higher competitive. So.
And I've got to say, looking at the Eastern Conference standings, you guys have won 21 rounds. And out of a total of 29 rounds, you have only dropped 8 of them. It's really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 5 of those rounds too were against Rose. So if you think about it, Rose was really like the biggest competition that we've had against us so far. So I mean, the other 2 games, it's been almost I love all the teams in Eastern Conference, but it was pretty quick once we figured out what they were doing. Then we're like, okay, we got this. Like that was the joke that we had yesterday, was that we won the first round finally after a little while, because we've dropped the first round of both of our previous games with Rose, and then before that Molecular. So I think that's one of our strongest suits, is actually we might lose the first round, but then it takes one round and we already know what their defense is going to be like. With Molecular, they're very heavily in sight without very much roaming. And so one round in, we adapted to that and took away a 7-2 win. And then with Suede last night, even too, we knew that they were going to be sort of almost shallow roaming immediately. And then we sort of adapted to that and took it away for 7-1. So
Sure. And it's definitely something we've noticed is you guys are really good at adapting and counter stratting. Um, with the first round losing, do you guys watch the VODs of previous games played to kind of see how your opponents are going to be playing their games?
oh, definitely. Yeah. We've taken a look at pretty much I'd say almost every single game that's been played so far, and then if we have intel on the other teams, as well with other VODs, then we'll try and take a look at those also, like particularly with Rose and TT6, because they're pretty big name teams, so they have a lot of games out there to watch. So we've taken a look at quite a few of those, and we've sort of been deciding which maps we want to try and ban towards, which strategies we're going to have to face a lot. And with Rose, I think we had a little bit more of a tough time, because they were trying out a lot of new things. They even said that themselves, so it took us a little bit to get used to what was going on with them. But we figured it out still, and we were able to take that win. But yeah, we've definitely taken a look at what we can in terms of researching our opponents and going up into the games here.
So outside of Team Rose, who have uh, won the most rounds against you, are there any other teams that you're kind of iffy about? Maybe they will put up a bigger fight than some of the other teams have.
It's hard to say, because we haven't played still 3 teams. I think we haven't played Raid, Goon Squad, and who's the last one we played?
Probably Troll Team 6.
Yeah, TT6, that's it. So I think Raid and Rose are probably our 2 biggest, just looking at what what Rose has done versus us, and then also what Raid has done versus other teams. I think those 2 are probably going to be our biggest threats, to be entirely honest. But just looking at like how we performed against other teams, like we look at Suede and we took them 7-1, and Suede was a team that tied TT6. So like we take that information into account too, and I think that all that being said, that we can take them. But yeah, like right now we're mainly looking into Rose and Raid as probably our 2 biggest contenders here.
All right, and that's all I've got for questions. Bolt, did you have anything?
Just one thing real quick, just to switch up the tempo a little bit. I know, and everyone here knows how strenuous and how stressful it can be to play this game competitively. What are some things that you do to get away from it, to relax, or just to kind of relax your mind from constantly the scrim and dry run grind that is Rainbow Six?
Yeah, that's definitely a good question, especially with how frustrated I was gonna say. Oh my god, sometimes this game like will
Oh
steal
yeah.
your heart away, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
it'll tilt you off the planet.
oh god, yeah. Like I played ranked yesterday. I dropped a little bit of elo in 3 games. Just it's frustrating sometimes. You get up to plat and then you're like, shit, what do I do? But yeah, I would say some of the biggest things for me is like I have other outlets too. I'm not just strictly a competitive gaming person, but obviously like right now with Corona, it's a little bit different. We're a little bit isolated and we're kind of stuck. So I've been playing a little bit more than I usually would. But on top of that, I'm actually a musician. I play like jazz and funk and a bunch of stuff like that. So I'll either have rehearsals and concerts or gigs or whatever that I'm playing with that. Um, I'm also in a fraternity too. I'm not going to give out my letters just cause, but but yeah, I'm in a fraternity too. So when I'm actually away at school, there's a pretty big outlet there. Um, Lots of fun stuff
Nice.
to be had. Lots of really cool guys there. So I've got a couple things that really keep me away from it. But I still enjoy coming back to it. And like if I ever have a day where I'm just like super tilted at the game, I just got to take a step back sometimes, because if I keep grinding, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have experienced this too. If you keep grinding at the same game when you're frustrated, it won't actually accomplish anything. I think you'll just sort of like regress almost. So it's best to just take
Yeah.
a step back and
Yeah.
then try at it again like the next day or something like that. Get a good night's sleep. So I
Mhm.
feel like that's probably some of the best things to be doing, is just try and find another outlet. And then also, if you're really like just frustrated at the game, just take a step back, because that's what I did. And here I am, like now I'm in Eastern Conference and we're actually like kicking some ass. So pardon my French, but yeah.
No, it's okay. Jay, do you want to
What?
close this out?
Actually, I had a follow-up question to all that. What instrument do you play,
Okay. Let's see.
or
So
instruments?
yeah, I play a couple. Mainly I play tenor sax. Like I'm first chair in a jazz band for that, and if I'm playing a gig, I'm most likely going to be trying to play tenor. But I can also play like alto and soprano sax, clarinet, bass clarinet, flute, and piano if I'm really trying. But so I've been playing for like 13 years now, so I picked up quite a few along the way.
That's really cool. I play the ukulele. Maybe we can start a band.
Hey, that would like ukulele, saxophone, ska band. There you go.
Are you gonna have Lonnie come and join you too?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
You and
We
Lonnie
have
on
Ghost on
ukulele.
the vocals too.
Oh
Let's go.
God.
But yeah, I think that's all the questions that we got. Sauko, thank you for joining us. IGL for Amarok. We appreciate it. And have a fantastic day.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So we'll go ahead and we'll take a deep dive now into the Eastern Conference. We'll start with their schedule. Looking at Playday 1, Raid Esports was set to play Team Wazda. Both teams had a little bit of difficulties getting their payments in, and Wazda was struggling to find a roster. So they had to buy. Then we saw a tie between Sway, TT6. Rose played what was Ice. We can go ahead and change that now. They are Goon Squad. And then we had Amarak dominating Molecular. And we hop down now to Playday 2, where we saw Troll Team 6 beat Ice. Sway was on the bye. Molecular played Raid, where we had that controversy. And then Amarak took on Team Rose at Coastline for the match of the day. It did not disappoint. And that's where Snake gets the first ace in NACL history. Were you guys, Dave, was I casting that game? No, I believe Roush was casting that game. But were you able to see the ace afterwards?
I saw it after the fact. I wasn't able to see it live.
That man was on 25 HP and got 5
Mhm.
kills.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
nutty.
I think I was observing that game. I think I was. If I wasn't observing, I was definitely watching. I can't remember, but yeah, it was nutty for sure. The whole thing.
And then yesterday, Molecular took on Troll Team 6 and beat them. Then Amarok dominated Suede on Clubhouse. And now we get to Raid Esports going against Goon Squad. Goon Squad was set. They were ready to roll. They were in Discord. Invites were about to go out. Map bands about to be sent out. Then all of a sudden, we were looking for Raid. Where was Raid? Everyone was checking chat. Amarok was looking for them. Then all of a sudden, I sent out a message. He sent me a friend request on Uplay. He was round 2 of 6 in a ranked game. How
You hate to see it.
how does that happen? And then he messages me. He goes, "I thought we didn't play today." I'm sorry, sir. The schedule has been out. It's always updated, always up to date, except for maybe the team names. 9 p.m. was your playdate time against what was Ice Clan. They just changed it to Goon Squad, so we'll have to update that. But you're round 2 of 6, and we're live. There's been tweets sent out about you and your team that you are playing tonight. We sent out the pregame. We had polls out in Discord. I have a hard time understanding how that happens.
Yeah. It's not a good look. Hopefully it's something that they can recover from. Um, Definitely need to take a look at priorities. I know for me, if I was in a ranked game and I was getting ready to play in a league with a much larger prize pool than what I would get if I won a ranked game, uh, I would probably leave the ranked game and say, heck my elo. It's one game.
It's all about that MMR. That's all that matters nowadays, I guess. Platinum ranked is the rank you need. Anyway, Rose was on their bye, so we have the upcoming games for Playday 4. Rose is going to be taking on Suede. Molecular is going to be taking on Goon Squad. Troll Team 6 on the bye. Amarok is going to be playing Raid, but that's going to be rescheduled. It was rescheduled for 2 July, but I believe they reworked it, and I think it's going to be the 9th of July. So we'll have to postpone that one. So next play day for Eastern, we're only going to have 2 games. As we go ahead and look at the Eastern Conference standings, we see Amarok Esports just absolutely dominating the field. We had SoCo. I swear to God, I'll get it right one of these days. Sal. Ow. I even wrote it down like Sal, like Ow. And then Co. Just absolutely dominating the Eastern Conference. 3-0, 21 rounds won, 8 dropped, 9 points. That's an astonishing feat in itself.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And then I can actually update this for 3rd place right now, live on air. Troll Team 6 1-1-1 with 4 points. We dropped down now to 4th place. Team Rose taking the bye means they only had 2 games played. They had 1 win, 1 loss. Their only loss coming to Amarok Esports. I'm excited to see Team Rose play these upcoming weeks. I think they're going to go ahead and move up the standings here. Probably take 2nd place here in the upcoming games, especially with Troll Team 6 on the bye. I expect Team Rose to move up 1, if not 2 slots. Goon Squad, they were a team at the bottom of the table. They hadn't won a game until they got the FF last night, which then gives them the 3 points in the 7-1 victory. Suede sitting on 1 loss and 1 draw. They're down in round count, and they only have 1 point. And then we have Raid, bottom of the table, with technically 2 FFs, because they broke 3. They had 3 infractions game 1 for them. Didn't show up for game 2. They are surely digging themselves a hole here, Day.
Yeah, and like I said, they gotta figure it out, man. You gotta know, like, if you're gonna play a game competitively, you need to know how to prioritize that because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time that you have to commit, and it's a lot of scheduling things that you need to keep track of.
Before we get too far into this, we do have our segment where later on the show where we can get a little bit more in depth with how we're feeling about this. Let's go ahead and pick out a team and a player to watch out for, starting with Bolt.
My team to watch out for is Team Rose. I think that obviously MRock showing what they have done and what they have been able to do is very impressive, as we've said, 21-8 as far as rounds. But I like Team Rose, and being coached and led by a former professional Rainbow Six player in Goddess, I think that if anyone can tackle this and come out on top over Amarok at this current point, I think it's got to be Team Rose. I think that they have the leadership and things about them to be able to do so. And I tell you, those girls, man, they know what they're doing, and you can tell it just by watching them that they take this very seriously, and they have their wits about them to be able, I feel, to be a team to watch out for. So
Okay.
that's my team.
Okay. Dave, do you want to go or you want me to go?
Yeah, I can go ahead and go.
Okay.
This time I will not be choosing any sort of underdog. The team to watch is Amarok
Yep, I'm right there with you.
because they have only lost 8 rounds in 3 games.
They lost
In
one
second
round
place, the next round count is 16. They have lost half the amount of molecular. Like, they just don't lose rounds. It's crazy. They don't lose games. They're such a well put together team, and they show it in every single play day.
So my team to watch out for is going to be the underdog in 7th place. I am just kidding. Yeah, Amarok is just, you gotta watch out for him, man. And if there's any team that's gonna stop them, like truly, it's gonna be Team Rose. But I think it's gonna come down to these two powerhouses just absolutely battling tooth and, or what is it, throat? What's the saying?
Tooth and nail.
Tooth and nail. I was gonna say tooth and neck, but that sounded kind of weird in my head. Tooth and nail, just absolutely just going at it. However, Amarok is up a game, an entire game, and they have 2 less rounds lost, and Team Rose was on a bye. And 5 of those rounds lost were from Team Rose themselves.
Mhm.
So if there's going to be anybody, it has to be Team Rose, which leads into the next part of this. Players to look out for. I'll go ahead and start. I have 2 from each team, from Amarok and from Team Rose. Autumn May on her SMG 11, when she is on Sledge, I would target ban Sledge. If I was going up against Team Rose, target ban Sledge, take the SMG 11 away from her on attack. You can't take it away on defense because she has mute and smoke. However, you gotta pick and choose here. And then on the side of Amarok, I have Slinky. Slinky is just every single game this guy's the top frag. Like, he's just clinically nuts.
Those were actually both of my picks that I had. And for the same reason. I mean, we saw Slinky last night on the dock, and he absolutely just opened up rounds for his team. One play that comes to mind is when he got the pick on Zofia on Clubhouse while she was still repelled outside of the eastern balcony. He just picks her off, and then with no fear, just continues to wide swing outside and get another 2 picks.
Peak
He's
everything.
just a phenomenal player.
Peak everything esports. That's the new name.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Bolt, what you got?
You actually took my pick. Mine was going to be Autumn May because obviously, like you said, being skilled with the SMG 11, it is an art form because you got to think you have 18 rounds in a gun that fires as fast as the SMG 11. So not only does that in itself, that's just a hard thing to do, but like, you have to think about the fire rate and the recoil. Like, it's a skill. It's a skill to be able to use that gun and use that gun effectively. And I feel like she could just go back in the past games she's played and be able to make a nice little YouTube highlight video just based off of the game she's played in our league. So I just think, being able to have that, especially more so on defense than attacking, being able to run that mute or that smoke with a shotgun, having the ability to breach, make holes and stuff with a shotgun, and then still being able to take those long range engagements with confidence with the SMG 11. I just feel like that's one of the most versatile skills to have on your team. I know me and Dave, we've had players that we've tried out on previous teams, and like that's something that we look for if they're a support player or if they're a player that says they can play the smoke. Okay, well, it's easy to one pump someone with a shotgun close range, but what can you do with that SMG-11? Can you hold long angles if you're in a 1v3 scenario? Is it just going to be you prone in a corner, hoping they run in front of your shotgun? And with her, I think that she can do it all with that operator, with that kit. And I just think that that's a skill that not many people have been able to master, and that's something that's, I think, going to be useful moving forward for Team Rose.
So we'll go ahead and we'll move into our final segment here, which I hope is a reoccurring segment. We have the hot seat, and then we have who is ice cool. So the hot seat take is someone that needs to be looking out, needs to be watching over their shoulder, the not safe pick. Meanwhile, ice cool is someone that's, ice cool. They got the swagger. So starting for me, and I believe I can speak probably for the rest of you too, that our hot seat right now is Raid Esports.
Yes.
Yep, and I'm going to be honest. With the name of this segment, I was expecting it to be completely different. I thought it was going to be like who's hot right now and who's cold right now. So
No, have you ever you heard the
I'm
same?
glad you clarified.
Yeah, when someone's on the hot seat at a
Yeah.
job or something, they're about to be fired, type of deal.
Yeah, ESPN does this a lot with the hot take and things like that.
So our hot seat, Raid Esports, I will keep it PG. I will not say any foul language on this podcast to start off with. But what the heck are you doing? How are you in a ranked game? How are you not reading the rule book? How do you not know your infractions? And then what are you doing off game in streams and on Twitter? If you're the captain or the manager or owner of the organization, reel your players in. The behavior so far, not acceptable. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think we can move on with that.
Yeah, I agree. It's not acceptable.
We'll go ahead and now move into the ice cool portion. We'll end on a lighter note. My ice cool is the music during the streams. Everybody loves it. It was a great addition. It's something we finally worked out and we're able to do now. That's my ice cool.
I gotta say, it's definitely a lot better than the long bouts of silence in between matches. Having some music going. I know I listened to it. I actually made an entire playlist just off of the music that we put on the stream because it's so good.
Got to get the swag bacon going.
The swag bacon.
Gotta get the swag bacon.
That was the greatest opening song ever. What are you guys' ice cool for NACL so far?
For me, so far, I would say just how well I think our mods and our staff are doing. A lot of this is new to a lot of us, and we're just constantly getting better and trying to make the overall viewing experience and experience for the players as good as we can. Part of the whole kind of founding idea of NACL is most of us are former competitive players. We've all played in leagues, and we've all played in leagues that probably weren't run the best way. And one of my goals as the director here is to make sure that we continue to make this a good and fun environment and make it as competitive as possible without having a lot of, downtime or confusion. And I think when we talk about confusion, we can talk about the updates to rules and teams not paying attention to those. Those are definitely important. But yeah, overall, staff mods are doing fantastic. That's my ice cool.
Mine will have to be the casters. And the reason for me saying that is I know you two guys. I know myself. I've casted in this league. Roush has casted. Jahui has casted. Show has casted. And I can speak for at least me, the three people here in Roush have no casting experience. None. Other than what we have done in this league. And I have to say, just being the observer and listening, everyone's doing a phenomenal job. They kind of hit on it, just talking about the staff as a whole. It's felt really good observing. because I'm the one watching what's happening and hearing the conversation that's going on. I just feel like it's really good. Like it's nowhere. We're not going to go anywhere but up from here. As far as that goes, I think it's really entertaining. We're taking suggestions that everyone's given us very seriously, and I can see after reading the suggestions in Discord and seeing and hearing it being put to use, I think that, you know, my ice cool is the casters, just for the phenomenal job that everyone's done thus far.
Well, okay, we're gonna go ahead and roll the outro. Thank you for tuning in to episode 1 as the music will start getting louder and slowly we will fade out. Any final words from you guys?
Thanks everybody who made it this far into the podcast. I know it was a long one, so we appreciate you guys listening in.
Yeah, and like I said before, people within the league or people who see this on YouTube, follow our Discord. Like I said, I alluded to earlier, we have suggestions. If you want to see something, want to hear something on the next podcast or in the stream, just drop it there.
Okay. Love you guys.
Now we can go play some League.
We don't talk enough, usually she calls first, I'm trying to be honest. Yeah, but truth is a form of shame, and I've been trying to change my pride. Oh, my pride. Yeah, a glass with ice and bourbon remind me of my father. Yeah, 17